the financial technology world entered a defining moment when Block, the global payments company, best known for building Square, Cash App, and Afterpay, stunned employees, investors, and the broader tech industry by announcing one of the most aggressive workforce reductions seen in modern Silicon Valley history, cutting nearly 40% of its global workforce in a single sweeping decision that affected more than 4,000 employees across multiple countries, departments, and operational divisions. And while layoffs have unfortunately become common across the technology sector in recent years, what made this announcement uniquely shocking was not the scale alone, but the reasoning behind it. Because, according to co-founder and CEO Jack Dorsey, the layoffs were not driven by financial distress, declining revenue, or investor pressure, but instead, by a strategic belief that artificial intelligence has fundamentally changed how companies should operate, scale, and compete in the modern era, marking what many analysts now describe as one of the first large corporate restructurings openly justified by AI productivity rather than economic survival. And in a lengthy and unusually philosophical letter to shareholders and employees, Dorsey explained that intelligence tools are improving at an exponential pace, unlike any technological shift in history, arguing that organizations must adapt immediately or risk becoming structurally obsolete, emphasizing that productivity is no longer tied to the number of employees, but instead to how effectively teams deploy advanced AI systems capable of automating analysis, generating code, managing workflows, and accelerating decision-making processes that once required entire departments. And according to Dorsey, companies built around 20th century assumptions of scale, hierarchy, and headcount are increasingly incompatible with 21st century intelligence tools that grow stronger every week through continuous learning and iteration, meaning that smaller teams empowered by AI can now accomplish tasks that previously demanded thousands of workers, creating a new corporate reality where efficiency replaces expansion as the primary measure of success. And this announcement represented a dramatic reversal for Block, a company that only a few years earlier symbolized pandemic-era growth as digital payments exploded worldwide during lockdowns and remote commerce surged, pushing Block to rapidly expand hiring in order to meet soaring demand for online financial services, merchant tools, and peer-to-peer payment platforms, growing from fewer than 4,000 employees in 2019 to more than 10,000 during the peak of pandemic expansion, a growth strategy widely praised at the time as visionary and necessary. Yet leadership now argues that technological progress has moved faster than anticipated, making many roles redundant, not because employees failed, but because the nature of work itself has shifted. And Dorsey repeatedly stressed that Block's financial health remains strong, pointing out that gross profit continues to grow steadily and customer engagement across Cash, App, and Square ecosystems remains resilient, framing the layoffs as a proactive transformation rather than a defensive reaction, stating that acting early allows the company to redesign itself intentionally rather than being forced into gradual and reactive cuts later. And this framing has become central to the debate surrounding the decision because it signals a new era where layoffs may increasingly occur during periods of strength rather than crisis, fundamentally altering how workers interpret corporate stability. While Block's chief financial officer Amrita Ahuja reinforced this strategic vision by explaining that smaller, highly specialized teams supported by AI systems can move faster, experiment more freely, and eliminate bureaucratic delays that often slow large organizations, arguing that automation and intelligent workflows now handle repetitive analysis, reporting, and operational coordination tasks that historically justified layers of management, thereby enabling companies to focus human talent on creativity, strategy, and innovation rather than maintenance and process oversight. And the financial markets reacted immediately to the announcement, with Block's stock price surging dramatically, rising as much as 24% following the news, signaling strong investor approval and highlighting a growing Wall Street belief that leaner organizations embracing artificial intelligence may achieve higher margins and faster innovation cycles. A reaction that itself sparked controversy as critics questioned whether markets are incentivizing companies to replace workers too quickly, while supporters argued that adaptation is necessary for long-term competitiveness in a rapidly evolving technological environment. And Block's move does not exist in isolation but instead forms part of a broader industry transformation as major technology companies including Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, and Verizon have all acknowledged that automation and artificial intelligence are reshaping internal operations, hiring strategies, and long-term workforce planning. Many of these companies having expanded aggressively. During pandemic, demand spikes only to later confront normalized consumer behavior combined with unexpectedly powerful AI tools capable of performing tasks once considered uniquely human. And as AI models grow more capable of writing software, analyzing financial data, designing products, generating marketing strategies, and assisting customer support operations, executives increasingly face pressure to reconsider organizational size and structure, sparking widespread anxiety across white-collar professions previously viewed as secure from automation, particularly in fields such as finance, design, marketing, legal research, and administrative management, where AI systems now demonstrate competence in tasks that once required years of training. And companies developing these technologies continue accelerating progress, with firms like Anthropic and OpenAI releasing enterprise-focused AI tools capable of handling complex workflows, collaborative reasoning, and multi-step problem-solving, intensifying debates about whether artificial intelligence will ultimately create more opportunities than it eliminates, or whether labor markets will struggle to adapt quickly enough to technological disruption. And economists remain divided on this question, with some arguing that every major technological revolution from the industrial age to the internet initially displaced workers but ultimately generated entirely new industries and employment categories, while others warn that AI differs fundamentally because it targets cognitive labor rather than manual tasks, potentially disrupting professional careers simultaneously across multiple sectors. And the seriousness of this transformation is increasingly reflected in financial markets, where technology stocks show heightened volatility following major AI announcements, indicating that investors view artificial intelligence not as a future possibility, but as a present force actively reshaping cost structures, productivity expectations, and competitive advantages in real time. And Dorsey has defended Block's approach by emphasizing transparency and decisiveness, arguing that prolonged uncertainty harms employees more than clear action, explaining that instead of conducting slow layoffs over several years, the company chose to make a single difficult decision paired with strong severance support, offering affected employees at least 20 weeks of pay depending on tenure, extended health coverage lasting 6 months, vesting of equity through May, retention of company devices, and additional financial assistance intended to ease transition into new opportunities. Measures designed to demonstrate respect and responsibility despite the emotional impact of job loss. Yet the announcement reignited global conversations about economic inequality, workforce resilience, and the ethical responsibilities of companies deploying automation technologies, as labor advocates warn that rapid AI adoption could widen income gaps if productivity gains primarily benefit shareholders, while displaced workers struggle to retrain. While technology optimists counter that AI will unlock unprecedented creativity, entrepreneurship, and small team innovation, allowing individuals and startups to compete with corporations in ways previously impossible, and universities, governments, and training organizations are now racing to rethink education systems in response to these changes, emphasizing adaptability, interdisciplinary thinking, and lifelong learning rather than single career specialization. Because the pace of technological change suggests workers may need to reinvent their skills multiple times throughout their careers, and analysts increasingly view Block's decision as a symbolic turning point, signaling the beginning of a new corporate philosophy where intelligence tools become the central infrastructure of business operations, redefining what efficiency means and challenging long-held assumptions about growth equaling hiring expansion. And this moment may ultimately be remembered as an early signal of a broader transformation spreading across industries including finance, healthcare, media, logistics, and education. As companies experiment with AI-augmented teams capable of operating faster and cheaper than traditional models, raising profound questions about how societies balance innovation with stability, productivity with employment, and technological progress with human well-being. And as artificial intelligence continues evolving at remarkable speed, Block's restructuring stands not merely as a corporate decision but as a cultural and economic milestone illustrating a future where